Elliewood, huh? If you're looking for Elliewood, he's talking to the captain. Oh, I won't bother him then. Do you need something? I'd like you to stop pouting. This pirate ship is the only way for us to get to Dread Isle. I thought you were understood that. Was I mistaken? How I feel or what I think is no concern of yours. Elliewood told me about your parents and those bandits, but these pirates, they don't seem like bad fellows. It wasn't just my parents, my entire tribe. Everyone was killed. They poisoned our drinking water. My people were in such pain, they could hardly stand. That's when the bandits attacked. They waited until we were defenseless. My father put me on his horse and I escaped. Just me. My poor father, the pain must have been terrible. He lifted me up, his arm shaking with his last breath. Now do you understand? I was found unconscious by another tribe and I awoke 10 days later. When I awoke, what I felt, the bodies of my people had already been buried. I never even had the chance to say farewell. My last memory of my father, he was broken, dying. I can still see the axes rising and falling. It's not... Hey! What are you doing? You're a strong woman, Lindis. I thought you would not want to see anyone to see you cry. You're such a fool. If you think that's what I want, then why not just leave? I lost my parents too. You? It was illness that took them, nothing like what happened to you. Still, I wanted nothing more than to cry like a baby. And yet, I couldn't cry, not in front of others. And when I was alone, I found I still couldn't. So I simply thought, I don't know. You really are a fool. That's no way to... You can't just... Ahoy! There's a small dory adrift to port. Someone's on board. Tell the captain. A boat? What's going on? Let's go see. Hello everybody, SlimKirby here. Welcome back to more of the Fire Emblem 7 Hector mode playthrough. This is video number 5. Going to be going through the next 3 chapters of the story here. And first up we have chapter 18, the pirate ship. The pirate ship is actually very, very interesting, and I'll get into that why it's interesting in just a moment. First of all, Hector mode, lots of Pegasus Knights. You guys know the drill with that. And when I say that, I mean that there are a lot of Pegasus Knights. I think they pretty much just replaced some of the normal mercenary and Myrmidon units that are here in Elliewood's mode. They replaced them with Pegasus Knights, so you see a lot of those. Heck, I feel like there's even less shamans in this chapter as well. So yeah, they really kind of went overboard with putting up those Pegasus Knights in this one. But still, hey, it's easy experience, especially for our axe users and our bow users, so you can't complain too much, I guess. So, right off the bat, one thing I do want to very quickly mention, and honestly I feel like this is a case for a lot of Hector mode chapters, and it's kind of interesting because I feel like in both Elliewood and Hector mode, they kind of take two different mindsets with kind of filling their chapters with enemies. I feel like Elliewood mode focuses a little more on reinforcements and pure numbers, while Hector has a lot of enemies at the very beginning, but I feel like there's less reinforcements in Hector's mode. Because I swear, there were a couple of turns where just nothing happened. I killed all of the units, and there was just nothing happening for like a few turns. I don't know what it is, but I noticed that's something that's very, very common, not just here, but also on several other Hector chapters. It's kind of like the enemies are like so aggressive, and probably because a lot of them are flying units, so they can just fly to Hector and his group right away and just immediately get eliminated. But yeah, like that is something that we'll definitely see, I think, later on in a couple of other chapters. So it's interesting how, in a way, it actually makes Hector's mode somewhat easier than Elliewood's mode. There's still things that make Hector's mode harder, for sure, but there are some things that make it easier, too, and that's definitely one of the things I really and personally noticed when, filming this video right here. So, yeah, that was definitely something that came to mind. But aside from that, this chapter, you pretty much handle the same way you handle Elliewood's chapter. Split up your forces, send your magic and high resistance units to the left, send your high defensive units to the right. Kind of when you're getting close to the end, kind of group up and send like half and half to the middle. just so you can kind of get rid of those units. And then if you want to, you can also challenge the boss. It is risky, but you do get 100 experience out of it, which is too good to pass up. But keep in mind, the boss does have Luna, and if he crits, then there's a pretty high chance that you're going to be redoing the chapter because he has a pretty high magic stat. So if you are going to attack him, make sure you attack him with someone who has high HP. Someone like Barter would actually be really good here because if he hits, that's a lot of damage you're doing to him, and he has a lot of HP, so if he does get crit, he won't die immediately. So yeah, that's basically how I would handle this chapter. Not really a lot happened in my variation, just, you know, raise the experience and level of those units who I was raising the experience and levels of. Pretty basic grinding experience, so not really much I have to say there. So I'll go ahead and stop, and I guess we'll move on to Chapter 19 after I go over this next little thing. Something in the air? Are you some sort of hound? Are you mocking me? No, the opposite. I'm in utter admiration. Say, Elliewood, when I left Ostia, I was attacked by a dark robe group. What? Why didn't you tell me this before? Many people hold a grudge against Ostia. I didn't think it had anything to do with this, until now. Hector, do you think... They were all wearing very distinct black robes. I don't know about something in the air, but I'm convinced they were related. What in the world is happening in Lycia? Father... Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. This is Chapter 19, the Dread Isle. First off, we have a little pre-chapter dialogue with Rebecca, and I kind of like this dialogue because she's kind of talking about Dart right here, and it's kind of cool. I talked about this a little bit at the end of Elliewood mode, but there is actually a bit of backstory between Rebecca and Dart, and it's also pretty cool that Dart has the text here in Elliewood mode. But yeah, this little conversation or this little piece of dialogue kind of hints that, you know, there might be something between these two characters that you might want to figure out, and you can use the support conversations to do that, which I think is really cool. I'll be talking more about this relationship in the future because I do plan to go after some support conversations involving these two characters. Whether I'll get them to A rank, though, I don't know, because that'll largely depend on a lot of other things, and I'll be talking about that more as we go throughout the playthrough. But yeah, that is the difference here in Hector mode compared to Elliewood mode. As far as this map is concerned, though, for the most part, this map is pretty similar to the map you did in Elliewood's mode. You just kind of advance through the fog. There's a lot of horse units. There's pirates that appear in the back. So it's pretty much, by all means, the same basic chapter here. Obviously, you will have Peg Knights over time, which, you know, that's the big thing with Hector mode. There's always going to be Pegasus Knights, because why the hell not? So that's something you're going to have to look out for, because they can always fly in to get you. There's also a thief in the bottom left that has the torch staff. I believe in Elliewood mode the thief was kind of in the top right, but now it's in the bottom left, which makes it a lot harder to get to. You pretty much have to use a flying unit, or in this case Florina, because she's your only flying unit at this point, to actually get to that unit. And because I haven't been using Florina and don't really intend to use her in this playthrough, it made it kind of difficult to actually get this, but I did manage it somehow. But yeah, aside from that, the chapter is pretty much the same. Not really too much to talk about here. And as far as things that happened in my run, kind of getting into what I was talking about, having to use a lower leveled Florina. I actually almost lost Florina, again, due to kind of putting her in range of a lot of enemies. I didn't intend to do that, it's just, you know, I really wanted that torch staff and there wasn't a lot I could do about it. No matter what though, if Florina died, I would have still restarted and tried again. It's weird because, you know, I don't plan to use Florina in this playthrough at all, but I still don't like losing units because I feel like it's just kind of like a blemish on your record, so I try to keep all of my units safe even if I don't really plan to use them. I know other people might disagree with that mindset and that's fine, but that's just not the way I like to do things. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Split my units up into all the different parties as I advance slowly. Obviously you got to beat this chapter before the 15th turn if you want to get the side chapter, and there is actually something special about that side chapter, especially in Hector mode, but I'll get into that when we get to that point. For now, that's going to do it for this chapter, and I will see you guys in the next one. Let's go then. To the Dragon's Gates. I don't think he was behind Layla's death. Black Fang. I don't know who's responsible, so I'm going to destroy you all. Hector, hold a moment. What? Walk quietly, your armor's too noisy. Oh, how's this? You're still clanking. Do you see what I'm wearing? This equipment's not light. How do you propose I walk quietly in this? Stop yelling at me. It's because of that clattering armor you're wearing. I'm just saying we have to move cautiously, nothing more. I know, and I'm saying that I'm doing my best. Quiet, both of you. Armor or no, if you two keep shouting like that, every enemy from here to Foray will hear us. Elliewood of Foray, prepare yourself. Oof. We won't reach the Dragon's Gate if we stay on the defensive. Hit their commander and attack the ruins. Elliewood, is their commander the one in the ruins? I think so, it must be him. Looks like he's a pretty solid magic user. Bah, I'm still not confident against mages and their ilk. Is that so, Hector? Perhaps you should hold back a little then. What nonsense is that? I can't fight from the rear. No, I just meant that sometimes it's advantageous to... Why waste good breath on words when there's fighting to be done? Come on. Hey, Hector! Why do I even try? Okay, here we go, guys. Chapter 19X, The Imprisoner of Magic. There's really not a whole lot to say about this one as far as differences between Elliewood and Hector mode. It's pretty much the same. There's a lot of mages and there's a lot of knights. There's a magic seal that comes after a few turns and you have to work around that. You nor your enemies can use magic in that magic seal, so you have to be very vigilant. But it also very much weakens the boss too, so you have at least that going for you. The Pegasus Knights that are in this chapter, they actually have Axe Reavers in this chapter, which is kind of interesting. They have Axe Reavers, but you know, you just kind of think backwards. Instead of using axe users, you use sword users instead, so nothing really that difficult to figure out. But yeah, aside from that, really nothing different. It's pretty much the same exact chapter as far as I'm concerned. But since we are playing Hector mode, there is actually a bonus chapter that you can get after beating this chapter. But you have to fulfill two very extravagant conditions. The first of which you actually have to do from a Lyn playthrough. So if you just start from Hector mode normally, you can't actually get this chapter. You actually have to raise Nils up to at least level 7 in Lyn's mode. If you get Nils any lower than that, you will not get the chapter either. So make sure you play Lyn mode and make sure you get Nils up to level 7 if you want to do this. Second, you actually have to beat Kishina. Now, when you attack Kishina, at the start of the next turn, he will run away. So you have to actually destroy him in one turn, which can be very, very difficult because Kishina is very evasive. I wouldn't say his defenses are really that good, but he is very, very evasive. So for the most part, you'll be trying to hit him with like 50 or 40%, which is not very high. But if you give your units strong weapons, make sure you have some units that can use A-rank weapons. If you can get your units to use A-rank weapons, which are silver weapons, yeah, because they have to be physical because you can't exactly attack them with magic at this point. But yeah, if you get some of your units to A-rank, you give them a strong weapon, you put the damage on, and pray, you might be able to defeat them. And that's actually why I brought Marcus to this chapter. I know it's weird because, you know, you don't want to use pre-promotes and all of that. And I didn't intend to give Marcus any kills or anything. But Marcus does come with an A rank. He can use the Silver Lance, or even the Silver Sword if you have that. So it made sense to give him a shot, and I did. And, you know, he actually helped me here, so I'm glad I actually did that. But yeah, that's basically a way you can kill Kishina. If you fail, though, unless you have like save states or, you know, system restore or whatever the restore points, whatever they're called, you can actually kind of dupe it out that way and make it a lot easier. But if you don't have that, then yeah, you pretty much have to restart the entire chapter. Thankfully, it's not too hard, and you can kind of like, you know, maybe try to hope you get better stats from your level ups and stuff. But still, like, you know, getting rid of Kishina in one turn is no easy feat, and it may take you a couple of tries, but, you know, you get some very interesting lore and a very interesting side chapter if you actually do this. It's a chapter I've probably played the least amount of any of the chapters in this game, and I have to admit, it was definitely interesting to play through it again, because I always like kind of examining the backstory of this game and seeing what cool things that are actually here, that, you know, the game developers put in there that you may not necessarily know about otherwise. But yeah, that's pretty much this chapter. Didn't really have a whole lot to say about this. Just kind of tried to get my units prepared for the Kishina battle. I believe Hector was actually pretty low level in terms of his axe uses, so I actually spent a big amount of the chapter getting kills with Hector, but hey, it all worked out. I was able to get Kishina, and that's all that really matters here. So with that, that's going to actually do it for this video. So next time, I'm actually going to be focusing on the exclusive chapter that you get. It's the only chapter that's going to be shown in that video. Yeah, hope you guys enjoy the secret bonus Gaiden chapter of a Gaiden chapter, as I like to call it. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Later, folks.